Southern California earthquake, magnitude 7.1, hit Ridgecrest today. Is the big one next? And what does USGS say about this? Cat Hops Express UK reports. Well, it's going really fast. It's going bang, 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 bang. Really fast. We've had, since the aftershock of the 6.4 of July 4th, that came less than 13 hours after the Canadian quake from Vancouver Island 6.2 on July 3rd. This one has had tremendous aftershocks, and there was a couple of minutes before this 7.1, and there's a lot of aftershocks even after this one. Now, it's in the volcanic area of Coso volcanic field, as we said before. No one has mentioned this yet. The only thing they keep mentioning is that it's not because of the San Andreas fault. The San Andreas is about 100 miles from this fault. This is perpendicular fault to the San Andreas, and it's in a volcanic field in an area that has the largest geothermal plant, the power plant of the whole country, of the whole United States, is found right there. They've drilled holes 2,000 feet down in order to tap the geothermal energy for over 27,000 homes. Southern California rocked by the 7.1 magnitude earthquake just 2 days after the July 4th, Thursday, powerful 6.4 magnitude quake in that same exact region. But does that mean that the big one that they've been talking about from the San Andreas is on its way? One USGS seismologist issued a very chilly warning that even more and higher, stronger, intense quakes could follow. The 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck at 4:19 BST, that's 8:20 p.m. local time Friday. Thank goodness it was in the evening. It wasn't late at night when people would be sleeping and children would be sleeping in their beds. It was after the 6.4, so people were aware, they were prepared, perhaps they had their car filled with gas, their documents in their proper bags ready to grab and sprint out of the house, the water bottles, their emergency packs, their bags. So I'm sure people were ready for this. Now, approximately 10.6 miles northeast of Ridgecrest, depth of 10.5 miles. Well, some people say 17 kilometers, 10.5 miles. According to the United States Geological Survey, its force was 8 times more intense than Thursday's 6.4 magnitude earthquake near that place, which had at that point been the largest earthquake to hit Southern California in 2 decades. Now, the geologists say they only have reports of minor injuries so far, thank goodness, but the damages caused were more significant. They had cracks in the streets, in a trailer park in the Ridgecrest area. A lot of homes had their foundations pulverized and destroyed, and gas lines and water lines were also busted. Fires from the gas lines, the ruptured gas lines. Authorities say they only have reports of minor injuries, thank goodness. No casualties, thank God. That's amazing. That in itself is a miracle. I'm sorry, that is a miracle. Authorities say only minor injuries. Damage caused was more significant this time around, said Ridgecrest Mayor Peggy Breeden. She said, we've got fires, we've got gas leaks, we've got injuries, we've got people without power, and we're dealing with it as best we can. Is the big one coming? Does all this seismic activity with all these strong quakes mean that the big one, meaning on the San Andreas, is coming? Because they've been warning us that Southern California, around the Los Angeles area, is in a drought season as far as earthquakes are concerned, that we're over 200 years overdue, as Michio Kaku said yesterday. He gave an interview on television the morning of July 5th, and July 5th evening at 8:19, the 7.1 struck. And he was explaining that there's a 99% chance that in the next 30 years, we would see a major earthquake from the San Andreas, the big one that is, and also that it's over 200 years overdue. The United States sits on the Ring of Fire, as we know, an area of the seismic activity responsible for 90% of the world's earthquakes. And they've been active in the past months, very active. Earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. And we were wondering, well, how is it that the West Coast has not had anything up to now? And we were saying how lucky the West Coast is, how lucky the states are, that there seems to be an invisible divine hand protecting that whole area, whereas the whole Ring of Fire was popping and rattling. Now, US seismologist Dr. Lucy Jones said that more quakes were certain in the coming days, and that there is a chance a mammoth, a huge one, could happen. And as we said, Dr. Michio Kaku of City University, physicist, cosmologist, said 99% chance that the big one will hit in 30 years, and he's still holding on to that. Now, Dr. Lucy Jones, in a press conference, said every earthquake makes another earthquake more likely. In other words, everything is jostled, that's why. Everything is sort of out of whack, like a puzzle. Now, the expert, Lucy Jones, tweeted there was a 1 in 10 possibility that of another 7 magnitude earthquake hitting within next week. Earlier, she predicted a 1 in 20 chance today's earthquake will be followed by something bigger. And Dr. Jones tweeted, this is the same sequence. You know, we say 1 in 20 chance that an earthquake will be followed by something bigger. This is that 1 in 20 time. And she's trying to say that she was being conservative and that it happened. And she tweets, so the magnitude 6.4 was a foreshock. This was a magnitude 7.1 on the same fault as has been produced by Searles Valley sequence. This is part of the same sequence. Now, she doesn't say that this is the major quake. She does, though, after the fact, say that the magnitude 6.4 was obviously the foreshock. She said, like any quake, today's magnitude 7.1 has a 1 in 20 of being followed by something even bigger. Smaller quakes, magnitudes 5s, are likely, and magnitude 6 quite possible. Today's quake was felt as far north as Sacramento, as far east as Las Vegas, as far south, of course, as Mexico. A rock slide took place, and it closed State Route 178 in Kern River Canyon. There were pictures from witnesses also showing that a stretch of the road had collapsed. It had sunk from the earthquake. In other words, it was a type of a landslide that took place under the highway. In Los Angeles, buildings shook for as long as 30 seconds, rattling nervous residents. So we're going to have more on this, of course. Daniel Earl, 52, of Playa del Rey, felt the quake while he was watching a baseball game in LA Dodger Stadium. He said everyone was jumping over us to leave. People were freaking out. There was a concession guy, and he actually was really cool because he was really calm. He's like, relax, tranquilo, relax, tranquilo. The people were looking around. My wife was holding us, like squeezing. I'm surprised my arm is still here. She was squeezing it into it so hard. Now, okay, more to come on this. But I wanted to say this. In one of my previous videos, I told you that both my parents were architects. They were architects in Canada. They did some skyscrapers in Montreal. They also where we lived. And then we moved to New York, and they did some skyscrapers in New York. My mother used to work for the company that did the Empire State Building, and she explained to me why they always had their buildings pivoted. They're the buildings in New York City, in Manhattan, that are pivoted on their corners. They're not flush. You know, the entrance doesn't look onto the street. It's pivoted. Why? Because the entrance is always looking towards where the Empire State Building is. Okay? Now, they worked on skyscrapers. There's a lot of skyscrapers in New York City. And they explained to me that if there is a 7 magnitude quake in New York City, all the skyscrapers would fall. They cannot stand it. They cannot stand above a 7 magnitude quake. Why is that? Because it would be too expensive to build skyscrapers that can withstand magnitude 7 or higher. Okay? Now, I don't know what's going to take place. I don't know the building code of Los Angeles. Perhaps they have a more strict building code than New York City does. I have no idea. I'll have to look into that. That's a good thing to look into. If they don't have a difference, if they have the same building code as the skyscrapers of Manhattan in New York City, it means that a 7 magnitude would bring down the, if it's an epicenter in Los Angeles, means that they will bring down most likely a lot of skyscrapers in the Los Angeles area. I don't know how many skyscrapers there are because it's an earthquake prone area. Maybe they're not allowed to build too many skyscrapers. I have no idea. I have to look into that. Now, I would guess now that FEMA will be helping a lot of these people that are in need of food, electricity, clothing, water, all the fundamental necessities. And I, for one, am thanking God that there was the foreshock of 6.4 on July 4th that prepared people to get ready psychologically and physically to have their water, their telephones charged, their car filled up with gas, some extra clothing and food and water in their cars, just in case something bigger happened. And I'm sure they were ready. And I'm sure that's why we didn't have any casualties. Thank God. Okay, so I'm thankful for that. So as we have more details, I'll keep you informed. Okay, I'm looking around, and I will look into the building code of Los Angeles buildings, the skyscrapers for one. So God bless you all. We have a lot of viewers that are out there in that exact area. Others that are from Los Angeles and others in Las Vegas that have felt the quakes. Please be very careful of yourselves and your loved ones. And thank goodness we didn't have any victims. And I hope everybody will be fine. And I wish that God protects you always. Bye for now. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.